All right, so this is Resident Evil Revelations, the first one. So I'm gonna compare this to Resident Evil 2. I already know the story in here is it's a slightly a little better than Resident Evil 2 Revelations, but what I'm doing right now is I'm comparing both games to each other to see how good the story is. Because the only good thing Revelations 2 got going for it is that it has the switch off between two characters, a split screen thing going for it. Like it's co-op, couch co-op between you and someone else playing the game. That's the only thing that game has going for it. Its raid mode isn't that great, except the split mode thing is now split into you being able to connect with others during the raid. So it has some features that are more advanced than Resident Evil 1, but I don't believe Resident Evil 2, in comparison to Resident Evil 1, its story is better. I believe RE1 is slightly above RE2. And if it wasn't for RE2's split screen co-op thing, or its cooperation with its raid mode, it wouldn't be better than this game. I believe this game story is still far more superior than Resident Evil 2 Revelations. RE Revelations 2 story. In fact, I, I would say this probably because I give that game an overall 6.7. I'll say this game is probably a 6.8, 6.9, simply because the story is more superior. And whatever it lacks within its raid mode is probably um, make up for it within its campaign and its accessibility and interactions. Just a reminder that everything that you see as gameplay wise in Resident Evil 2, RE2, Revelations, Revelations 2, gameplay wise, the switch off and control and movement speed and everything has already been done in this game. So those mechanics will be still be in this game first before it came in that game. So to start off from the very beginning, um, when I started to play this game, like if you were really to start fresh from 0 to 10, start to give the game points or start to deduct points, you would see the stark difference between both games, like the background colors. This game is more aquatic, while our game is more woodsy area. Now, for the reason why I say this game is more superior in its story and its setup and everything, not in its menu. The menu from RE2 is slightly better, much better, but the sound effects in this game are far more superior. So I'll start with the intro forward screen to the game, which is this.
Resident Evil Revelations.
Now, as you see, um, it has this painful thing of connected to the RENet, which just shuts down the game and then you have to log back on. But the very difference between the RE2 and RE1 is obviously there. This is more aquatic, so the color goes palette will be green. The menu screen is far better in RE2 than RE1 with regards to the game. The color usage with RE2 is more intense, than this one because that's woods and this is aquatic, so you have to go with the color for the type of environment you're doing with. However, like I said, I give the game a point for this game, a point for its usage of sound. So the first thing I recognize was the stark difference between RE2 and RE1. This has a better execution of sound when it comes to its menus. So let me turn up the audio just so slightly. Oh shit, no. God damn it. Alright, okay. Never mind. I thought it was going to take me out of the game. Alright, so when it comes to rolling over your campaigns or rolling over the names, name descriptions of certain things, um, the sound difference from Resident Evil 2 to Resident Evil 1, this is more superior. It's very quiet, very you still know what you're selecting, you still have a highlight on it. The sound effects when it comes to rollover is still present. When you go into the option screen or when you go into any screen, the sound effects is more interesting rather than the Resident Evil 2 dum 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 dum. Every time you go over, scroll over something to make it seem more intense, but it doesn't work in Resident Evil 2 that it does in Resident Evil 1 Revelation. So I'm already giving the game a full point. I mean, not a full 1 point, but a point for having better usage of sound for its menus in comparison to Resident Evil 2. But I'm not going to give it a point for introduction to its opening screen, which is the front poster opening screen showing the eye and the name of the logo. I think the design for the front logo design for the actual introduction before you press start on the game is far more superior in Resident Evil 2 than in this one. I believe it's more dynamic, more obvious, and far more interesting, and there was more artwork going into it. Yes, I know the difference between time release from that game and this game were were different. They came out different years, and there wasn't that much investment in that art style for I mean this art style for this game in comparison to RE Revelations 2 art style. So that one gets more superior simply because it not only had more years that passed before they make their game, but it also has a far more interesting look towards the front design as well as the design of the actual logo itself. So, um, but I won't take a point away from this game for that. Because it didn't get the menu screen wrong. It didn't get anything wrong with regards to its execution of how the opening screen and how the design of it looked. It explained it specifically in its atmosphere and its tiles, as its tints and its colors, that this is an aquatic type Resident Evil based on the eye and based on the color surrounding it. So the color usage within this game seems to be more interesting and more prominent and has more rational sense with regards to this game in comparison to Resident Evil Revelations 2. Um, it also doesn't feel as dark um, when I went to the actually settings, so lighting and brightening up the game. It doesn't feel as dark, or it feels almost about the same as yeah, it feels almost about the same. So I would say when it comes to darkness, it feels about the same. So I would give it a point for that, but I'm not going to because the lighting seems almost about the same. In fact, when it comes to light improvement, I could slightly see, I see the background darkening and then lightening, and you really have to make it light all the way here. Whereas in Revelations 2, you started to see things are starting to bright up when you're using the bright menu. Once you get past the halfway point, whereas here it's a little backwards. Um, but that's only because I'm actually using it on the option screen. How it plays in the game itself, that's another story. So I'm not going to give it a point for that yet because I haven't seen how the actual lighting in the game works when I'm actually in the game yet. But I did give it a point for its sound already. It sounds more superior. than that of RE2, RE Revelations 2. I'm gonna give it another point for its rollovers because the RE2 Revelations 2 rollovers, excluding the sound, the rollovers for the text here seems to be more fluid in comparison to that one. And it works. So I would say they're about pretty much the same when it comes to rollovers. Not for uses of colors. The colors are pretty much bland and 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 outdated, and there's no effects or anything on this one. So I guess in the RE2s the effects are more prominent and more interesting, but here there's hardly any effects. It's just color usage. But the point is, I'm getting all the foundation stuff done first before I'm actually going into um, the subtracting of things, unless I see something that's really off. So the text, the scrolling over of text works. They move fast, they move effective. They don't, they're not janky, they don't lag. So they got that correct as well with regards to this game. So that's another point. Um, let's see, when you actually press this on the button to select, a new window pops up when it comes to any items. So the window that pops up that the coding latches to, this is I believe this might be href window, depending on the type of program they're using. This href window pops up showing this, and then in this href window there's another coding that allows you to increase the brightness, um, or general coding for the href window that allows you in this window to increase the brightness. So that works. The href for the image for in brightness works, and it should play the same way for every other options. Same as the language. The window for language pops up, and so the button for language type that works, and they move fast as well. Game settings. The window for game settings option pops up, the href window, if they're doing it based on computer style. But if it's not computer style, then it's not href. Um, that works as well. Moves fast, just as fast as my hand presses the button. Um, the rollovers on it works, and the type of color to represent what it is works. So the coding they put in for the color type, to show that it's that specific color type. The color the text to show that it's that specific color type works. So that so the windows that pop up, the href windows works. So that's three, and the coding they put in for you to get to certain text and certain things also works as well. So that's four. Um, when it comes to the controls, that has nothing to do with href. Let's look at the control types and the coding they put in for the control types. So you got shooter 1, you have classic, shooter 2, and that's it. And then you have aiming, you have aim speed, you have camera control, you have swimming control, and then you have control vibrations. So you have swimming, you have usage of camera, you have aiming assist, and so it's pretty much standard. It's not something complicated. It's not that complicated. So it's a very simple options control because this is a solo game. So it's not something that's a big deal. Plus, it's not a heavily paid for or heavily funded game that's like as superior as the Resident Evil 2, 3, 4. It's a secondary Resident Evil game if you really think about it, Revelations. So they're not going to invest that much money into a Revelations game. Um, so the standard controls are pretty much normal, but they all work. So I'm not going to give it a point for that. Those are just standard things that you find in most games that are on a budget. So these aren't all special things. These are all things that are within any game, except for the swimming controls, which is basically XY axis. So that's in games as well. Just naming it swimming controls doesn't change the XY axis. All games have XY axis. So I'm not giving it a points for that. Display settings. Yeah, did that. Audio. language. That auto data, nope, and default. Okay, so from a control point of view, under options. All right, so that's options, and then there's also the raid mode feature. So if I go into raid mode, the new window screen pops up to show raid mode features all blah 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 blah. Yes. So this window works, and the rollers are for this window works, and the color usage for this window works. But I'm not going to give it points for rollovers and for color usage and for window pop-ups because I already give it points for the game having those, and those things work. So after I select that, I'm now in the raid window, which is a separate window. Um, Now compare this to the raid within RE2. I would say the raid within RE2, I mean RE Revelations 2 is far more superior because when you press raid mode, you actually enter within a specific confined location where you're able to look at weapons, look at costumes, look at what's within your accessory cache, and look at how you can upgrade your weapons on a workbench. So that game is already superior when it comes to raid mode in comparison to this game. This game's raid mode is kind of inferior when it comes to um, doing its raid because it wasn't set to be co-op. Where that game was set to be co-op, this was set to be solo play as an extra additive for you to have enjoyment doing certain extra features within the game. So it wasn't meant to be co-op. So those features aren't going to be in there. So we're not going to compare that game to this game with regards to co-op accessibilities. We are going to compare in comparison to its solo accessibilities only. And so let's see, you have solo play, you have player match, and you have private match. So you can play against other players versus if they're online playing it from their site, but it's non-co-op. They have to be playing their own solo to connect to them. So in some ways, it's kind of cooperative, but it's more like versus. So I find that interesting. Now let's say I go to L1, character sheet, weapons, store, options. So I'm going to go to character sheet. I'm pressing L1. And within the character sheet, another window. Okay, so that in and of itself is more interesting than the one from Revelations 2. Because in Revelations 2, you have to go to workbenches to actually see these things, or your tier costumes. Whereas you just press one button and they all pop up right there and they're easily accessible. So the accessibility towards getting certain things in comparison to Revelations 2 is far more accessible here. One window, one accessible screen. So I give it a point for that. So now I'm at a 0.5. Now in this window, you have Claire, you have this character, and you have this guy called Parker, Chris, and Claire. So let's see. Raid mode, clear this bonus stage, go ship, clear the stage. Okay, so you have the characters, you select the characters, and it shows the characters you selected that you're going to play with. Alright, so that's pretty much it for that. It's nothing big, it's just telling you what characters you want. Wait, actually, let me go back. It says viewer, adjust level. Okay, so viewer is to view the character. Zoom in and out of the character. Okay, so that's another thing that this game has that Revelations 2 don't have. Once you're showing your character in Revelations 2, I don't think there's a zoom out, zoom in feature that allow you to zoom in, zoom out, and spin the character. There is no spin the character within Revelations 2. So instantly it has something different than Revelations 2. Whereas Revelations 2, when you go to select your uniform or your customization of your character, you just see this character and you see what's going to be on your character from your menu. But there's no rotation or zooming in with regards to that. So it has that feature added to the game as well. So I'll give it a point for including that within this game. So that it has a zoom feature as well, and also um, it has the same adjustment of levels as in Revelations 2. So it has that feature added in there as well. So it has character sheet, then it has rotation added within the game. That they added that to the game, and then it has adjustment of levels. And let's see what else does it have. So it has adjustment of levels, so that's a 0.6. So you could adjust the levels based on the missions you have. So it has that in the game as well, and another inclusions. And now you go to your weapons. You have the sell options, you have the OK, you have the remove. Let's see, so it's new. I select it. I could switch it. Okay, so the top one represents what I have current. The bottom one represents what's in my inventory. So if I press R1 for range type, rarity, price. Okay, so that's another thing different from RE2 Revelations, or RE Revelations 2. You have rarity, you have price, you have levels. You could basically arrange things based on what they are and how you want it, based on the power types, based on either the levels types or the rarity type, just to see what it is you're trying. If you're trying to sell something that has higher value, so you could get more money, do it by price. If you're trying to get higher level weapons, do it by levels, or more power, you do it by power. I'm going to do it by power, and then what I'm going to do is in here, I'm going to select and then switch. So let's see if I'm doing it by power. Firepower 317 to capacity, speed. Okay, so it's based on power. So wouldn't okay, so if these are all level ones, and if it's based on power, wouldn't this one be more at the forefront because it has a firepower of 317 to 570? Amaria is firing speed is less powerful than others and has less magazine capacity. So as in power is calculating everything when it comes to power level, not just the actually weapons power, firepower is also considering the actually number categorization of speed and capacity as well as part of its power. So that's interesting. That's something different. Um, okay, so I'll go back on that. Let's see. This is 317. This is standard 317 plus. Oh, I see. I see. It's comparing 317 to the value rate of here. So if I arrange it by power, arrange it by power. Okay. This just has a firepower of 317. What? Okay, and then I switch, I select, and then I switch with this. Okay, alright. And then this will take me out of the game if I go to PlayStation Store, and obviously options, let's see. It's the same options for the game, so that's nothing new. So with regards to the raid mode, it's it's obviously more inferior comparison to Revelations 2 raid mode. When it comes to actually interacting with your menu screen and the things that you want to have accessible to yourself. You want to get rid of um, certain records you want to keep, certain things you want to buy and sell. It has a more cooperative, interactive menu. But the only thing different, more superior in this one when it comes to its interactive menu is that you just have to press one simple button in order to access all these things rather than them being spread out throughout in a room. So yeah, I'm at a point 6 right now with regards to everything I've seen so far within the game. Once I get into the campaign, I won't talk anymore. I'll just see how the game plays out. Um, and then I'll give my opinion on the campaign at the end, and see how that is. But so far, I'm at a point 6 with regards to the game. I don't really have anything negative to say about the game yet. I have stuff to say about the game in comparison to Revelations 2 that are negative, but I'm just doing the fundamentals right now, to see if the game actually works overall in its execution, and then I will start to say all the things that are negative about the game that doesn't hold up with regards to itself. Not in comparison to Revelations 2, but with regards to itself. And then I'll compare it to Revelations 2 in subtraction of points that they got right in that game in comparison to this game. But then I might not do that at all, because how would they know what will happen in Revelations 2 if they never made that game in comparison to the time frame which they made this game? So yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to compare this game for what it is as I'm playing through it. I'm not going to factor in Revelations 2 as any way to take away anything from this game. I'm going to consider it as a game in and of itself and find out what I find interesting about this game and what I don't find interesting about this game as itself. And if its points get, like, say, if at the end of this game it pretty much falls into the same 6.5, 6.7 category overall as not personal opinion but as an honest member opinion as Revelations 2 did, then that means Revelations 2 kind of failed. If it falls into the 6.5, 6.7 category, then that means Revelations 2 had failed as a game. If this game is even if this game is within the 6th category, it still means Revelations 2 failed because it didn't do anything that superior other than adding additional cooperative experience with regards to its game. It just added more stuff to this game, but the overall enjoyment factor and certain things work in that game may not be that great. So let me just jump into this and press new game. And now let this movie play out. Cut my mic and I play the game and see how it is. So I'm at a point 6 right now with regards to everything I've seen.
Hey, Jill.
Incredible.
The Queen Zenobia. This thing is lucky to be afloat.
Take us around. Let's find a boarding point. It's been 94 minutes since Chris and Jessica dropped off the radar.
But the interpolation from their last known coordinates puts them...
Right here on this ship.
okay?
I might be able to shoot it off.
The sting.
It's been abandoned for a while. Ugh, it smells like rotting flesh.
No signs of life. But I feel like something's here.
Hey,
What? What happened?
I don't think we're alone.
There's blood coming from the ducts. I got something. I think it's a gun.
Now what?
Give me a sec.
So, it's not Chris. This explains our missing crew.
This is not good. Where are you, Chris?
This sunny and idyllic Mediterranean coast was the site of one of the world's greatest structures. It took a full 11 years to finish constructing the world's first aquapolis, the floating city of Terra Grigia. A sustainable metropolis operating on a massive solar energy matrix and equipped with the latest green technologies. Never before had solar energy been used to supply power to an entire city. But in 2004, Veltro, a terrorist group opposing the city's development, launched a bioterrorist attack. They not only released a virus, but also several creatures, known as bioorganic weapons, further complicating the situation. This launched one of the worst tragedies the world has ever seen. The FBC, the world's leading counter-bioterror organization operating under the auspices of the US, was called in to direct efforts to contain the attack. The BSAA, a counter-bioterror NGO, which operates independently of the interests of any one country, went in as observers to assist the FBC. Realizing the need for immediate and decisive action, Supreme Local Headquarters issued the order to use the city's solar energy matrix on itself. Media outlets around the world began to refer to the incident as the Terra Grigia Panic. Following the incident, the FBC announced it has successfully disbanded the terrorist group called Veltro. It is now 2005, and a sense of calm and security is finally returning to the people. But, as you can see, the lost city of Terra Grigia remains inaccessible, a silent and potent symbol of the threat that bioterror poses for people around the world.
Ah, there you two are.
O'Brien, you don't normally join the fray.
Well, my doctor told me I need exercise. I assume you both know that the FBC has cordoned off the entire area. However, in the past few weeks, a number of mysterious carcasses have washed up.
I guess the FBC couldn't cover up a mess this big, huh?
Anyone who knows what happened here is gonna put two and two together.
And that's why I've sent the BSAA in to investigate. Did you pick up your new equipment from Quint?
The, Genesis or something. Is that its name?
You didn't bother to read the manual, did you?
No, I brought it with me, just in case.
I hope you read quickly, because you're gonna need it on your mission.
Yeah, I'm on it.